Welcome back to Camera Palooza, where I'm trying to decide which camera am I going to use going forward. Let's get to it. What's up, everybody? I'm the Everyday Dad. If I can figure it out, you can figure it out. So only so many hands. So today what we're going to do is we're going to compare the autofocus, the brand new A7 III that you're seeing right now, the Panasonic GH5, with the autofocus hack that YodaYeo came up with. I'll leave a link to his video in the description below. That should, in theory, incredibly increase the autofocus capabilities of the GH5, and is like my standard camera, the Sony A6300. You may be asking yourself, why do the Sony A7 III and the A6300? Well, personally, I think the A6300 to the A7 III is a perfect upgrade path. They're both more of a budget option in Sony's existing line. The A6500 is more expensive than the 6300, obviously. The A7R III, the potentially new A7S III, whenever that comes out. I think the path of progression very easily goes A6300, A7 III. So today we're gonna use native lenses on all three cameras. We're gonna use the kit lens on the Sony A7 III, we're gonna use the kit lens on the A6300, and we're gonna use the 25mm 1.7 lens on the GH5, just so that there's more of a noticeable difference if it's in focus or it's out of focus for purposes of the video. To the test! Here, come with me.
First up, 4K 30 frames per second. Because one of the things about the YodaYeo hack is it works differently at different frame rates, apparently. Obviously, the GH5 is a little slower at autofocusing than both the Sony cameras, but I wouldn't say that it's unusable except for one little occasion where it had some trouble locking onto my face. Next up, 4K 24 frames per second. Now again, I do have the settings tweaked a little bit, so this is not an image quality test, this is a focusing test, so don't judge the two on image too harshly. So something that you'll notice at 24 frames per second is both cameras are a little bit slower. And there are some real problems with the GH5 locking onto my face during the 24 frames per second. I think the fastest camera so far is the A6300. It's really been the outstanding camera so far today. And our next test up is 1080p at 60 frames per second. This is my go-to resolution and frame rate. And again, no surprise, you'll see that the GH5 is struggling behind the A7III in autofocus. And again, the A6300 is absolutely crushing it. I think I'm going to call it right now that the winner of the entire test is the A6300. A camera from a few years ago still has the best autofocus. Good job, Sony, on the legacy tech.
Whew. And we're back. So what, right? So why even do this test? Obviously, Sony has a superior autofocus system to the Panasonic cameras. There's really no point in doing this, right? Well, wrong. So just because autofocus is important, it's not the only aspect that you need in a camera to be a solo content producer. There's a lot of aspects in it: image quality, stabilization, all sorts of different functions inside of a camera that you need. But autofocus is a big one, and I think it's good to see, maybe not perfect, but you do need good enough autofocus to make it a viable option. You can judge for yourself which ones you think was better, which ones you think was worse, which ones you think is good enough for the kind of content you create. Evaluate the three, since these are like three of the biggest, most popular cameras on YouTube today. Thanks for watching.